Monday morning, everybody. I'm Dave Furtado.
And I'm meteorologist Jake Stevenson.
And welcome to Keep Her Quick, your latest local news and weather commercial free in about 23 minutes or less. We're going to jump right over to weather because, Jake, we had a little bit of that rain over the weekend, but it seems like we're getting back to persistent sunshine this week.
Yeah, we are. We had a cold front pass through that brought that rain, and now that it has passed us, we're going to be looking ahead to some breezy and dry conditions over the next several days. Sunshine will also be persistent in that time frame as we have clear skies behind the frontal system. Temps will be rising into the mid-80s as a ridge of high pressure starts to build over our region. Taking a look quickly, though, at the rainfall totals that we saw yesterday, we had about 1/10 of an inch in Pasco, a little more than a trace in Yakima and Ellensburg, but the real haymakers from the rain were Walla Walla and Pendleton, where we got over 1/4 of an inch of rain in Pendleton and across Umatilla County.
Thanks, Jake. We begin this morning in Franklin County. A weekend gathering at Juniper Dunes Road took a dangerous turn after authorities say shots were fired late Saturday night. A sheriff's sergeant working the area spotted a green laser pointed towards a trailer and then saw muzzle flashes and heard gunfire. 5 people were detained shortly thereafter, with a handgun being recovered and that still had the laser attached. 14 shell casings were found on the ground, and investigators say the man with the weapon did not have a concealed carry license. He is now in the Franklin County Jail facing charges for unlawfully discharging a firearm and carrying a concealed handgun without a permit. A Yakima man with ties to the Norteño gang is headed to federal prison on firearms charges. Jesus Antonio Dizzy Morales pleaded guilty to being a felon in possession of a firearm in federal court. He was sentenced to nearly half a dozen years in prison. Federal prosecutors also allege that Morales was promoting Norteño gang operations in prison and in the streets through La Nuestra Familia. He was among 20 people charged in 2024 after an investigation targeting La Nuestra Familia in eastern Washington. And a Cleala man is headed to prison after pleading guilty to firearms charges. Charles Lauren Dahl III was sentenced to 18 months in prison after pleading guilty to 4 charges of second-degree unlawful possession of a firearm. When investigators originally arrested Dahl, they figured out he was a convicted felon and was not supposed to be in possession of or own any firearms. After law enforcement officers got a search warrant for Dahl's home and vehicle, they found 9 rifles, a shotgun, and 12 handguns. The Benton County Sheriff's Office is pointing to teamwork as a reason a burglar is close to being captured. They posted these pictures from the scene in Grandview. Someone who lives in the area, lives in the home rather, spotted a burglary suspect leaving their home and immediately called in authorities. That tracked the suspect with the K9 and drone after he got into a vehicle, but eventually he bailed and evaded capture on foot. However, a person of interest has been identified. Grandview Police, Prosser Police, and the Sheriff's Office teamed up on the operation. And a crash shut down West 5th Avenue and South Rainier Street in Kennewick Friday night. Here's some of the photos of the scene provided by authorities. They say one person was hurt in the incident, the status of whom remains unknown at this time. Investigators arrested the driver for suspected vehicular assault. He's currently booked into the Benton County Jail. And a section of West Clearwater Avenue in Kennewick is back open after a crash involving a semi shut down the roadway yesterday morning. Take a look at this photo of the scene in the immediate aftermath. Police say the collision happened near North Taft Street, and during their investigation, officers arrested a man on suspicion of DUI. The stretch of road between Taft and Quay was closed for several hours, but it's back open now. And folks in Richland were without power for a short while to kick off the weekend after a driver crashed into a pole near Gauthill's Drive and Gillespie Street shortly after midnight. Police say the man ran from the scene, but they found him hiding in the backyard of a home where he wasn't supposed to be because of a court order. He eventually surrendered and was booked into the Benton County Jail on several charges, including a hit and run. Investigators say alcohol was not a factor in the crash. Meanwhile, electrical crews worked quickly to restore service to the neighborhood. Drivers in Yakima should plan ahead. South 8th Street will be closed between Chestnut Avenue and Walnut Street today and tomorrow for waterline work. Crews will be on site from 7 a.m. to 3:30 p.m. and heavy traffic delays are expected. Detours will be posted, but access to homes and businesses will stay open when possible. Now, the city says the schedule could change if weather or other factors get in the way, and they're reminding drivers to use caution in work zones. Switching gears, after a Politico report touched off speculation, a multi-billion-dollar, multi-decade process at turning nuclear waste at Hanford into glass may be scrapped, political leaders from both sides of the aisle in Washington state continue to voice their concern for the support for the original plan. Governor Bob Ferguson was in the Tri-Cities on Friday, and we're learning more about a conversation Senator Patty Murray had with the head of the Department of Energy. KEPR's Aiden Whitaker reports.
I spoke with a representative from Senator Patty Murray's office. They tell me the senator talked with Energy Secretary Chris Wright following rumors that the Department of Energy may try to stop the waste treatment plant from becoming fully operational. And she says he told her they intend to stop the process due to safety concerns, but the senator says the Secretary Wright couldn't elaborate on what those concerns are. So far, more than $30 billion have been spent on the vitrification plant, and once completed, it's supposed to turn nuclear waste into glass so it can be safely disposed of. Casey Sixkiller, the director of the Washington State Department of Ecology, a regulating agency at the Hanford site, refutes the claim that there are safety concerns.
There is no evidence of any outstanding safety issues with the waste treatment plant. We are confident the plant is ready for hot commissioning.
Both Senator Murray and Governor Ferguson say that there are court orders in place mandating the completion of this project by October 15th through decades-old agreements between Washington state and the federal government. Ferguson says if the Department of Energy doesn't allow the plant to move on to the next phase, he's ready to act.
We're not waiting. There's not going to be some next administration on this. I want to be very clear. I want to be very, very clear, right? This is a now situation. It's a now problem. I'm not big on waiting around in general in life, but I'm sure as heck not waiting around on this one. No, this is a now situation. I'm confident a judge is not going to be waiting around for very long.
Governor Ferguson went on to say he's hopeful the Department of Energy will allow the project to move forward without getting the courts involved.
KEPR's Aiden Whitaker, thank you. And we have reached out to the Department of Energy for comment on Secretary Wright's conversation with Patty Murray, but they haven't addressed that conversation. We'll continue to follow it as the situation evolves, and we'll let you know as we learn more. And finally, the Ironman Triathlon is right around the corner and volunteers are still needed. One of the Tri-Cities' biggest events, it requires 1,300 volunteers. Right now, only 910 have signed up. Volunteer roles including helping with the aid station, helping at the finish line, river safety, and most importantly, they need the most help in the transition area where athletes go from the swimming portion to the bike ride and then on to the run. Shifts start as early as 4 a.m. and last about 4 hours. Meals are provided.
The community is really what made Ironman so special last year. We were ranked #2 in Triathlete magazine as the #2 best race in all of North America because our community really showed up. People should get involved because it's a trickle effect. These athletes come, their family comes to support them, and they take a little piece of Tri-Cities with them.
Now, the Ironman event is on September 19th. There's the deadline to sign up to volunteer. It's this Wednesday. We have information on how to sign up on our website, KEPRtv.com. And Jake, we're going to jump right over to weather here because Ironman is this Saturday. Temperatures are supposed to be lovely. I see we're going to stick with some sunshine throughout the week. But by the time we get to that day, we have, 5 days ahead of us, So what can we expect? What's on the docket for the week?
Yeah, we're looking at some pretty cool low temperatures over the next couple of days, which will be nice for the Ironman. These are our low temperatures that we're looking at on the screen right now for tomorrow. We're going to be in the Kittitas and Yakima valleys in the mid to high 40s tomorrow, which is a bit or about the same temperature of what we saw today, a little bit cooler in Ellensburg than what we saw on Monday morning. In the Tri-Cities and the Columbia Basin, we're going to be in the high 40s for Tuesday morning. And then Walla Walla, as always, will be the warm spot in the morning at 56. Now, many of you may have woken up and thought to yourselves, wow, it's brisk out there. Maybe we're finally getting into fall. And in some places in the Rocky Mountains and the Cascades, it does definitely feel and look like it. We have patchy fall foliage in the Cascade Mountains and even some areas of moderate in the far north of the Cascades and in parts of the Rockies now. We're going to be following the fall foliage over the next couple of days and weeks as we slowly creep towards the autumn season. Taking a look at our high temperatures for today, we're going to be in the mid to high 70s across the Columbia Basin, with Richland the warm spot for this Monday at 78. In the Blue Mountains foothills, we will be 74 in Walla Walla and 74 in Pendleton. Still a beautiful day regardless of where you live, as the sun is shining with those cool temps. In the Yakima Valley, we will be in the high 70s, 77 in Sunnyside, 78 in Toppenish, 77 in Yakima, and then Ellensburg will be 76 this Monday afternoon. Now, we are going to be warming up over the next couple of days. We're not going to be sticking in the 70s for too long. So what exactly is causing that? Well, we've got this big ridge of high pressure that's building into our region over the course of our work week. It's bringing lots of heat out of the desert Southwest and even up all the way into the Canadian prairies. It's also producing a temperature and pressure inversion between the eastern half of Washington and then the Pacific Ocean in the western half of Washington. That'll be bringing a lot of windy conditions to our region as well. As we move forward throughout the week, though, the ridge will start to ease off and start to flatten out. We will be looking at warm temperatures through Friday and Saturday, but the winds will definitely be dying down as we move into our weekend ahead. Taking a look at our 7-day forecast now. Monday will be a high of 75 in Ellensburg. Tuesday, 81. We warm up by Friday as we get to 86 with some mostly sunny skies. But as we look ahead to the end of our weekend, we have a slight chance of showers on Sunday. We'll be taking a closer look at the potential for storm chances later this week. In Walla Walla, high of 73 today, 82 on Tuesday, and then as we move throughout the work week, by Thursday, we've warmed up to 87 even. Then as we move through the weekend, though, we will be cooling off as we welcome the return of some clouds. In Yakima, high of 75 today on Monday. Tuesday, 81, more of the same. And then we warm up while keeping the sunny skies. And then by Friday, the warmest day of the week at 87, some clouds do return, and we are watching again that slight chance for showers by the end of the weekend. In the Tri-Cities, we last but not least, high of 75 today, 83 on Tuesday, 86 on Wednesday, and then we warm up by Thursday to 87. Stick there at 87 on Friday, and then by the time we get to the weekend, we start to cool off again.
Thanks, Jake. An event honoring the memory of a young boy who committed suicide brought folks together in Yakima's Randall Park over the weekend. KMA's John Franklin has those details.
So my son Colin died by suicide when he was 8 years old 6 years ago.
Shauna Osmond, Colin's mother, says that a lot of factors were working against Colin. This included a diagnosis of fetal alcohol spectrum disorder, which is when the birth mother drinks too much when she is pregnant. Shauna could not find the help she so desperately needed for her son.
We needed more help in the time, in the moment that he needed help, that we needed help for him, and there wasn't anything.
After her son died, she looked for some way to honor him.
I was just trying to figure out what would be the best thing to do as my son's mom. When he passed away, I didn't know what to do, and I found out that September was Suicide Prevention Month, and I found out that there was just 1 week in September, this week, that was dedicated to suicide prevention.
She started SAFCO, Suicide Awareness for Colin Osmond. This annual event brings together mental health resources and activities in the park.
At this event, it's basically just to have fun, to have our mental health groups there, to bring awareness to families and children that they're not alone.
One annual tradition is making lava bottles.
My son absolutely loves lava bottle tables, bottles, excuse me. They're a great fidget toy. They're something that kids can make that they're not going to ruin or have a hard time making. So we had a lava bottle table.
6 years after her son passed, Shauna is trying to spread the word about youth mental illness.
What can I do to help other families not have to go through what we went through? To help parents understand that suicide ideations, suicidal thoughts, mental illness, it happens in all ages, not just teenagers and above.
For Action News, I'm John Franklin.
And every year on the last Sunday of September, celebrations are held nationwide to honor Gold Star families. They're the loved ones of a military service member who died on active duty. KMA's John Franklin joins us again with highlighting a local Lance Corporal in the U.S. Marine Corps who was killed in Afghanistan back in 2011.
Joe Jackson, born the day after Christmas in 1988, decided to join the U.S. Marine Corps, as his father had before him. On Easter Sunday in 2011, his family learned that he was killed in action, and that's when they became a Gold Star family. His father, Sean Marceau, has kept his son's memory alive nearly a decade and a half after his death.
Joe was an artist. He could play the guitar. Just a fun-loving guy. You know, I think everybody, he stood up for the underdogs. Talked to people at school, and that's what they said. You know, he was just different because he took care of the weak.
Joe comes from a military family, going 3 generations back to D-Day and World War II.
My grandpa jumped into Normandy with the 101st. My dad fought in '68 with the 9th Infantry during Tet. Okay, I served in the Marine Corps. My son made the call. So that we got a warrior history in our family. You know, when 9/11 hit, it hit him, and he was like, you know, I'm gonna do something.
Joe served with the 1st Battalion, 5th Marines, Camp Pendleton, California. He was a Lance Corporal when he was deployed to Afghanistan.
He was in country maybe a week and a half. So we didn't even have time to even be afraid of him being in combat, because by the time we realized he was even in the battlefield, the Marines showed up at our house to tell us he was killed.
On April 14th of 2011, Sean Marceau became a Gold Star father.
And it was horrible. Don't even remember the day. Actually, that first 10 days, he barely is a blur. You know, for a minute there, I had to push everybody away. I just couldn't hold the burden anymore. You know, so I had to take a step back. Then when I came back, I was like, all right, we're ready to re-engage.
Joe is buried in the Tahoma Cemetery, and his father visits him once a week.
You know, I go there all the time, and it's a peaceful place, and it makes for a good reflection now. You know, the time's passed. It's been 14 years now, and the pain doesn't go away. It doesn't go away. It just gets different.
The cemetery is not the only place that Sean reflects. He has a space with Joe's memorabilia, including a piece of his gun, the contents of his footlocker, his Purple Heart, his military accolades, and a flag signed by the people he served with, to name a few. Sean is close to the soldiers who served with Joe. He saw the people deployed with his son when they returned to the United States, and upon seeing the state that they were in, his intentions changed.
So when I see these guys come back, the fight's now my purpose is to save one. I've turned this room into just a memorial room. You know, it's not like we're sulking or anything, but it's the times that I can sit here and just, if one of the guys come over, they can, you know, when I say one of the guys that served with him come over, they can get a little peace of mind. They can rest.
Sean is in contact with all the soldiers Joe knew, and to this day, they still visit Joe and Sean.
It's a two-sided coin, a good two-sided. They come over, and I help them. I help them, you know, deal with the demons that they deal with. And we talk about the demons of, like, what if I'd have took point that day? That would have been me, and you could have your son today. I help them. But then again, when they come here, I get to see where Joe's life would have been. I get to see a progression in his life. Like when they bring their kids, I'm like, that would have been Joe's kids. That would have been his wife. You know, what they're doing, what jobs they're doing. What job would Joe have been doing? And these guys are all doing jobs all over the United States. And it's like, just different jobs. And it's like, wow, this could have been my son. So it helps me thinking that, okay, this is what he could have been doing.
Sean is 14 years into the healing process that he knows will never end, but he can make sure to include his son into his daily life.
I think parents that have lost kids in like car accidents, homicides, cancer, any parent that's lost a kid, whether they be an older kid or a young kid, they're going to take it to them with the grave. They're going to take that equal pain with them to the grave, and it's not going to go away. Yet they're going to live through it, and they're going to live for their kid. I know that's what I'm going to do. My fight is to keep his name alive. You know, until I draw my last breath. And that's my obligation for this country, is to keep him alive.
KIMA's John Franklin, thank you. And we will also be hearing from other local Gold Star family members over the next couple of weeks leading up to Gold Star Mother and Families Day on September 28th. Saturday was a busy day throughout the Tri-Cities. The city of Pasco hosted an annual event designed to bring the community together over lots of food and fun. The Fiery Foods Festival featured local performers, food vendors, and activities, including several food competitions like a hot wing challenge or a pepper eating contest.
And it bridges the gap between 4th of July and December, where there's something for the community to do. But I think more than anything, it's just always trying to find ways to get the community out, interacting, participating in events that we're throwing. We've got Spooky Hall coming up at the end of October for kids to walk through City Hall and get candy. Winterfest, like you said, we've got the Cable Bridge run after that and the week after that. So there's just always something going on.
Organizers say they're looking forward to bringing the event back next year. And alumni and current students of Washington State University got together in Richland on Saturday at the Tri-Cities campus for the school's first ever Cougar football watch party. Roughly 400 people registered for the event, which was put on by the WSU Alumni Association in partnership with the school. There was beer garden, games, and activities, as well as a big screen so everyone could see the action on the gridiron.
We have, honestly, the biggest alumni in population here in the Tri-Cities per capita than anywhere else in the nation. So it's really cool to be able to take advantage of that. And we have Cougs all the time wanting something new. And so Chancellor Haynes was like, we should do a party on campus and let's make this happen. And then fast forward to today and it's here.
Despite the Cougars getting absolutely walloped by University of North Texas 59-10, organizers say they were impressed with the turnout, especially considering it was their first time holding the event. They hope to hold similar events in the future. In Kennewick, a car show benefiting local kids drew crowds of people out to Columbia Park on Saturday. For the 15th year, hundreds of Corvettes took over the park for people to enjoy. There were also food vendors, activities, and representatives from the Make-A-Wish Foundation for anyone who wanted to make a donation.
Look at the impact of a wish. That really just grows exponentially because each wish isn't just about that one child. It's about their family and the broader community who's trying to rally around them. And so it impacts so many lives.
Now, to date, Corvettes on the Columbia is the largest fundraiser in the Pacific Northwest for the Make-A-Wish Foundation, raising over $1.4 million since its inception. And finally, there's a unique food truck now open in Kennewick offering Mexican and seafood dishes. The family-owned truck is called La Bahia. They used to rent out a food truck in Pasco and then came to the Port of Kennewick to begin their own food truck business. Some of their special dishes include shrimp tortas, shrimp ceviche with octopus, and their famous La Bahia burrito filled with shrimp and steak. They also offer wings with homemade sauce.
We want it to be a family-friendly establishment where people can come and enjoy the food and enjoy the environment. I feel like we're very unique in the way that it's seafood, it's Mexican food, where my family's from Michoacan, Mexico, so it's right by the ocean. All they eat is seafood.
It's in the Wine and Artisan Columbia Garden Village. They operate 7 days a week from 10 a.m. to 10 p.m. And that does it for us. Thank you for watching this episode of Keeper Quick. For more local news and weather, you can head over to our websites, Keeper and KIMATV.com, as well as our Facebook pages. But while you're here, be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel to keep up with our latest mini newscasts Monday through Friday. Have a terrific start to your work week, everybody.